You got everything? Phone, wallet, passport?
Yeah, I think I got everything.
You know she finna start crying, right?
Be quiet, Aubrey. Listen, sweetie, make sure you call us when you get there. You know I'm gonna worry about you.
All right, yeah, I will. My flight gets in around 8:30, but I gotta get some Wi-Fi first. But when I get some Wi-Fi, I'll let y'all know.
All right, man. Well, you know what to do. Handle your business.
As always, we're real proud of you, baby boy.
All right, appreciate it. Love y'all.
Love you too.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Life Across the Waters. I'm your host, Kendrick Perry, aka Mr. Certified in Person. We are here at Tercer Acto in the center of Malaga, one of my personal favorite restaurants to eat in the city. So before we start, I just want to thank them for the hospitality and allowing us to do this here. My guest today is an 8-year pro from the DMV area, more specifically Landover, Maryland. Played at Seton Hill University, NABC All-District Second Team, First Team All-PSAC West, and the newest addition to Unicaja Baloncesto, my guy, Cam Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you joining the show, my boy.
Glad to be here, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll just get straight into it, man. Growing up in the DMV, what was it like? Because, from the outside looking in, I seem to realize there's a big hoop culture in the DMV area, right? When you think about some of the prominent names that, we know, Kevin Durant, Michael Beasley, Quinn Cook, Kameron Taylor, you know what I'm saying? The list is a mile long, right? So what was kind of like growing up in that culture? What was that like for you?
Everything's competitive. I mean, there's not anywhere you can go, any city you go where it's not hoopers there. Like, you name the big names, but even like there's some guys that you don't name or some guys that you don't know that are probably just as competitive, just as good, just as the top guys. But, since we're all in one area, not everybody can be number one, So it's like I said, it's competitive. Everybody ends up like kind of going their separate ways and ended up, doing well in their own, let's say their school, their district, or university, or wherever they go. But yeah, it's a competitive pool.
With so much competition, was there anybody that you kind of not really modeled your game after, but were there guys like coming up in the area that you were just like, they're must-see TV, or like I gotta make sure I follow them?
For sure. I didn't really get let's say, introduced to the DMV basketball until I went to high school. My freshman year, I went to DeMatha. So my freshman year, I was the senior, or that class, or that varsity team was like Josh Selby, Victor Oladipo, Quinn Cook, James Robinson, Jeremy Grant.
Shout out J-Rob.
Yep. Like the team was loaded. I think I said Josh Selby, Najee Hibbert. Like all top guys, like not just in Maryland, but like in the country. So like, watching those guys and, me being the incoming freshman, like I wasn't always, kind of 6'6", 200 plus pounds. I was, incoming freshman. I was like 5'4", maybe like a $110 type thing. So I'm looking at them guys and the way they're hooping. I'm like, man, this is a different animal.
Right.
But those guys, Jaren Grant, I forgot to mention him. I think out of all the guys, like he was like probably the one that stood out to me like the most, just because for me personally, I've never been the most talented guy, and I always value working hard and getting in the gym and putting your hours in to get better and improving every day. And that's something I've seen, Jaren do from, his DeMatha career to Notre Dame to getting drafted to even where he is now. Like, he really never stopped putting in the work, and basically, like, kind of sprouted it and spread it to his brothers, like Jeremy. They got it from Jure, but, you can see that I like the, how he works. I always respected that about him and how he approaches the game.
Yeah. And shout out Jerry, man. We kind of had a conversation, a quick conversation a couple years ago when I was in Panathinaikos. He was in Milan. We were kind of in similar situations, and it was just one of those. I think we were coming out of the tunnel at halftime at the same time, and it was just like a head nod. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's fucked up how they doing you, man. But keep weathering the storm. And he kind of mimicked or echoed the same thing to me.
Right.
And now to see him at Panathinaikos, really fulfilling his role and signing that extension, man. That's obviously huge in terms of how they see him and what he brings to the table there. So, Jay Grant, big ups to you, bro.
Sure.
You mentioned DeMatha. It's a prestigious basketball powerhouse that maybe some people might have heard of but don't really know too much about. I know that was the case with me, being from Florida. Who just name some of the pros that kind of came through there just to give the people kind of a realization of the talent that's come through DeMatha.
Man, if I go all the way back in the day, I go Keith Bogans, Adrian Dantley, Jarrett Jack went there, I want to say a couple years, Austin Freeman, Jere Grant, Jaron Grant, Jeremy Grant, Quinn Cook, Markel Fultz. Who else do we got? Jordan Hawkins, he just got drafted this year. Victor Oladipo, of course. It's a slew of them. I'm definitely forgetting some guys. Man.
It sounds like a pretty lit
Josh Selby.
alumni game.
Man, I'm telling you,
a lot of firepower.
Yeah, it's a competitive for sure.
Yeah. So I gotta ask. I heard that you had a bit of a track career at DeMatha. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that was like?
So so when I was young, I've always ran track, but it got to a point where I just wasn't getting faster. So like it come to like 11, 12 years old, and like I'm still running the same times, and you're working hard, and it's just not improving for you.
Right.
So like I kind of just went to my mom like, yeah, this is not for me. And she was just like, okay, like, whatever you do, like I'm supporting you, but if you don't want to do this, I'm glad you told me, just don't waste my money. So, we move on to high school, and, track kind of helped me with not just only just kind of getting in shape, but it helps you for the sport of basketball and football.
Right.
And that's what I played in high school. But without track, like, you can feel a difference in, how you move. So I actually ended up going back to track in high school. But at that time, I'm going through growing pains, man, like
it's okay. You can curse on here.
Oh, okay, yeah, like motherfucker. So, like around, I want to say my sophomore year. So I came in for my freshman year, 5'4". My sophomore year, I was growing to 5'10", wore like a size 13. Like I was like lanky, small. Like I was really, really awkward. But I was playing football and basketball, and I knew track would help, and I kind of got back into track.
Right.
And as I'm getting into track, I, have growing pains, so I'm running the 100 and the 200. I've never been a sprinter. I've kind of always been more of a 400-meter, 800-meter type guy.
More long distance.
More long distance. But, I'm in the 200, 100 just strictly because, like, I'm just trying to get in shape. Like, I'm just trying to get my form in shape just for basketball and football. So I'm ended up running out there, and, like, when I'm running, you can tell that something's wrong. Like,
this isn't how it's supposed to look.
Right, this is not how a form is supposed to look. I'm over here like I got the growing pains and like my legs, so like my leg isn't like picking all the way up. So like if your leg not picking up, everything is trying to compensate. So I'm over here moving my arms like this, like. It was bad news for sure, but I'm kind of glad that I went through it. Everybody got to go through it. That was my time.
Got to find some film from that, man.
I hope you never find it.
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about DeMatha, what does this line mean to you? And I'm gonna eat you, cannibal.
Hey, you've been talking to my mom.
Hey, don't worry about it. Hey, don't worry. Hey, at Life Across the Waters, we do our research.
Hey, bro. So you can actually.
Is this something I can YouTube?
Huh?
Is this something I can pull up?
No, I'm glad we lost that footage.
Man.
You can hit my man Jeremy Grant. We was actually like, we was in high school. I feel like every dude or every basketball player, anybody like tried a rap career for
For
a
sure.
little bit.
For sure.
So like one of my friends actually was like, that was one of his lines, and we was like, bro, like that's your line, bro.
You sure that's what you want to go with?
He was adamant, and he kept it in there. So like every time he would say that line, like and this is before like TikTok, so you can't cut. You got to make it all in one go.
Right.
So every time he said that line, we're dying laughing. We had to restart. Like, bro, that's funny. Yeah, that was like the beginning and the end of a rap career right there.
Your rap career, or just
So-
being in that space or that environment?
Yeah, we just tried out rap. It was me, Jeremy, my friend. His name's Chris, and yeah, like after that.
So that wasn't your bar.
That wasn't my bar.
Okay,
No.
all right.
I didn't
Are you
say
sure?
that.
You just
No,
pinning it on the
that
homie?
definitely was not my bar. I can guarantee that.
That's jokes. All right, moving on. So you finished your high school career at DeMatha, moved to Seton Hill University, which is a Division II school in Pennsylvania. What was your recruiting process like?
So, my senior year, I ended up, I was a starter, but I wasn't getting heavy minutes, and I had a whole bunch of good guys around me, a lot of talent, and on the team. I was probably like the 7th leading scorer, but not the highest option. It comes to the end of the season, everybody's like committing to schools, and no schools are picking up on me just because I'm more part of I would say I'm part of a team, but there's nothing that I do spectacular. So like if you want to get a DeMatha guy that averages 8 points, or you want to get a public school guy that averages 20, like who you gonna go with? And basically it was just I was just kind of the guy that was just overlooked every time. It came down to I gotta say maybe like late July, and I still have no offers. So I met with my coach, Coach Mike Jones. Shout out to him. And basically he was just like, yeah, like we don't have any offers for you. Like maybe we can try a different route. Maybe try the D2 route. So I was like, all right, like obviously I was killed, I was hurt.
Right.
Everybody's questioning you, like, hey, like you went to DeMatha, you're going D2, like man, this is a travesty, blah 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 blah. So I'm listening to everybody, and man, it's like as a guy that's gave everything to the high school for the 2 years and listened to everything the coach said, it was really like killing me inside.
Right,
like I
right.
couldn't go D1 because I felt I was all of D1. So literally that summer got in the gym, and man, I worked harder. Like I can't even like put into words how hard I worked, but I was basically in the gym for like 5 hours at a time, just like working, like going through like 3 like sets of clothes, like drenched. But anyways, after a month or 2 months of like kind of working out by myself, like literally I went to Glenville State. I went to 3 D2 visits where they had me try out for the team, or not try out, but like look at me. And it was Glenville State, Seton Hill University, and Wheeling Jesuit. And after all 3 that I went to, all 3 of them offered me a full scholarship. So literally it was just kind of down to those 3 and choosing between those 3, and Seton Hill just sounded the best to me, and that's just kind of how it went.
Okay. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny because like when you hear D2, especially like when we were growing up, right? Like now it's different because like if you put up the numbers, they'll kind of like find you now, right? With social media and just the availability of everything. But it just seemed like it felt like when we were growing up, like if you don't go Division I, your chances of being a pro are pretty much shot to 0. You know what I mean? Whereas like now we look back and it's like, all right, it wasn't that serious, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we see, talent, whether it's NBA or overseas, we see so much talent that have come from D2 or even D3 or NAI, you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of, everybody's personal journey.
Right.
So you kind of attested to it already, but, your senior year, you averaged 21 and 9, 4 assists, 2 steals. And you, like I said, you attested a little bit earlier, but were there any thoughts of, maybe after your sophomore year or junior year, were there any opportunities of you wanting or you possibly going to D1? And if so, like what was your mindset and what ultimately led you to the decision to stay at Seton Hill?
For sure. After my freshman year, I still went through some growing pains and adjusting to, college basketball in general. My sophomore year, I did, better than my sophomore year. I want to say I averaged like 13 points, like 6 rebounds, and, as a sophomore, I'm thinking like, all right, like, hey, like I'm doing this at this level, like maybe I can go D1, maybe red shirt, maybe, somebody take me serious, or see the work that I put in.
Mm-hmm.
But, that summer I went home and kind of thought to myself, talked over with my mom. It was like, seeing the pros and cons and going over the pros and cons. It was just like, do I want to transfer, go to D1, start all over and, kind of, meshing with a new coach, with new players, get acquainted to a new system? Or should I just stay here? Where I'm at in Seton Hill, I had everything at my fingertips. I had the gym 24/7. I had coaches, coming in there helping me get better every day. I had the coach was ready to put me as the guy my junior year and my senior year. I had all the power to, kind of just be great at that school. And for me, I think the biggest thing was like I can go down in the Hall of Fame at Seton Hill if I stay here.
Right.
Or do I want to just be another regular guy at another school just going there 2 years?
Right.
And that's kind of what I battled with, and I ended up choosing to stay, and I probably would choose it again if I had the chance.
That's funny. That sounds exactly like my situation in Youngstown. After like my leap year or my jump year, it was from freshman to sophomore year, and that was when I think my situation was a little different because it was another mid-major school that wanted me. So I was like, to go to mid-major, and then kind of the same thoughts, right? I got to start all over, prove myself again in a situation where this situation I'm currently in, like, got everything I want. You know what I'm saying? For the most part. You know what I'm saying? I got everything I want, got everything I need. It's kind of tailored for me to
be successful.
Be the most successful that I can be. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, to hear you have those same thoughts is pretty funny. But, I mean, obviously, you look up 8 years removed from college, and like to think that everything worked out thus far. So we'll talk about your first pro years a little bit. Undrafted in 2016, and you signed with Ehingen Urspring in Pro A, Second League Germany. So you get on the phone with your agent. He sends the contract. Numbers look good. Everything looks good. Logistics look good. You sign it, send it back to him. What's going through your mind at that point?
Well, first off, the contract came. It didn't look good. Numbers didn't look good.
Right.
But, I'm looking at it as, I'm about to get paid for playing basketball. So I'm looking at it, and, my agent is telling me, like, all right, you just start here, and then, you build up, and you go through it, and, you're going to eventually get to a point where you want to be at. So I'm just like, all right, like if this is where I got to start, like, I'm not afraid or not, I'm not new to starting from the bottom. I've been an underdog my whole life. So like starting at the bottom is nothing new to me. So I'm like, all right, if this is where I got to start to get where I want to be, fine. At the end of the day, I'm playing basketball for money, and I'm a professional. So like you said, like when I put my name on a contract, like that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, wow, I'm a pro. Like, I can't wait to get to Germany. I'm not going to lie, there's a little bit of fear just because I've never been overseas. I've never been so far away from home, been in a country where I don't speak the language. I didn't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie, like, going over there, I thought, I was going to be hooping and lederhosen or something like I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been to Europe. And, I mean, obviously we learn about it, but you're not really paying attention.
You kind of tune that part of class out for sure.
So I was kind of more excited to see what it had for me, and man, it changed my life. The first step of like kind of creating a new me.
Yeah. I mean, well, you answered my next question about any doubts or concerns. So the next year, you signed with Dragons Rondorf in Pro B Germany. You led that league in scoring with 23 points, fifth in assists with 6, and second in steals. It seemed like, obviously you would know better than I would, but it seemed like, your game kind of took a real leap from that first to second year. But when you look at it, it's like, all right, I went from Pro A to Pro B,
Right.
which most would say is a step down.
Right.
Did you feel that at all?
For sure. So my first year with Pro A in Ehing and Urspring, I started the preseason out great. I was averaging maybe like 20 points a game for just like the preseason game, the first half of the season, and then kind of just hit like that rookie wall, and just my numbers just kind of impacted. We weren't winning, so we ended up bringing in a new guy, Devon Moore. Shout out to him. He was a big bro, kind of, helped me through that transition. But he came in and helped us, win some games. But at the same time, he, kind of took my minutes. So, like, I was kind of battling with that. And, when the league sees that, they're not as sold on you for the next year. So the next year, like, I wasn't getting the offers for the same league. So that's why I went to Pro B. Talked it over with my agent. He's like, yeah, like this. So what had happened was, I told him, like, if I do move down, I want to be under a BBL team or a first league team. Like, I want to be on the farm team. And that's basically what happened. So Rondorf is under the team Bond, and I went to their farm team, and we had agreed that, I'd get some practices with the Bond team. So as I went to Rondorf and, played games with them, I would practice with the Bond team, and that kind of worked itself out in a way. Like, I still got BBL experience and was able to kind of show my skill off within the first league coach or realm, by still, playing like myself and, showing my talent
and being able to develop your game, because you got, you got the ball in your hands a lot, I'm sure.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because you finished that season with Würzburg.
Yes.
And that's the team that's in the BBL, Germany's top league. So it's like, it's kind of, excuse me, it's kind of like, in retrospect, it's kind of like, you take one step back to take two forward. You know what I mean? And a lot of people either don't see that or can't see that long-term game, right? They just think of the short term, like, damn, how's this going to look? I went from Pro A to Pro B, which is natural, right? It was very natural. But in the long scheme of things, like, you set it up perfectly. Like, look, I'll go to a Pro B team, but I want to make sure I have this exposure, just, because somebody's going to notice.
Right.
And I think it ended up working out for you, and that's great. But would you kind of agree with that? Like, you felt, in retrospect, it was kind of like, all right, I'll take a quote-unquote L now because I can possibly, get it back on the back end.
That was exactly the plan. Me and my agent discussed, like, take this step back and we're going to move two forward. Like, everybody looked at it as, like a travesty, like, nah, like, this is not the way you go to, like, move forward in Europe. Like, you're doing the wrong thing. And I'm just like, I got to double down on myself. You know?
Got to bet on yourself. Yeah, for sure. All right, so moving forward for the 2018-2019 season, you signed with PVSK Panthers in Hungary's top league, 5th in the league of scoring with 19 points, led the league in steals. So now we're talking about, going from a Pro B team, getting a little bit of exposure in Germany's top league, and now you're starting the season in a country's top league, and you're killing it. You know what I'm saying? What do you think kind of led to this? Was it a level of, comfort with the coach, with the system? Was it just, the comfort and the confidence you had because you trusted the work you put in? Was it a mix of all of that? What do you think kind of led most to this kind of breakout in a country's top league?
Through my journey, every year is a learning experience, and I learned something new. My first year, I had to learn that no matter what, I have to play like myself. And in that first year, I wasn't playing like myself, and that's why they kind of brought in another guy because they wanted Cam, and I'm trying to play the right way or play systematically instead of just playing like Cam.
Right.
So that taught me to play like myself. I did that in my second year and found success in it. So as I approached my first league opportunity in Hungary, that's what I felt like I had to approach it.
Right.
That's how I felt like I had to approach it as well.
Right.
So like the coach, from the beginning actually liked me. I actually played there with one of my good friends, Justin Austin. He ended up getting hurt in the preseason and had like a kind of like a season-ending injury, but we were like undefeated. We were like we were on a path to where it looked like we were going to win the chip. We had all the preseason awards. We had all the preseason championships. It was really looking nice. But past that, yeah, it was just more so I wanted to be myself. The coach gave me a way where I can be myself. My teammates, encouraged me to be myself. Like I didn't have any teammates that were, jealous
Had
or
hidden agendas. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
all supporting me. Good guys, always good guys is kind of like the recipe to my success. Every time I'm knowing I'm surrounded by good guys or guys that like to play the right way, I always find success in my game and my team's game.
Yeah. Was Draghi your coach
No,
at PBSK?
no, it was Circa Ferenc.
Okay. Hungarian
Yep.
coach. Okay.
Mhm.
Because I know because I was in Hungary the year before, and Draghi was our coach from Serbia, and I want to say
Yeah, he was coaching there 2 years later, I want to say.
2 years after you.
Yep.
Okay, all right. Because I knew he coached there at some point, but I couldn't remember how or what year that was. Moving along, 1920 season signed with Bros Bamberg back in Germany in the top league now officially. If I'm not mistaken, that was your first taste of international competition. Did you guys play Champions League?
Yeah, we played Champions League.
Okay, yeah. So this first taste of international play where you're having 2 games a week, less practicing, which is always good,
Yeah.
right? Was there a difference between that and other situations? Because again, you're playing 2 games a week now. The stage is bigger because now you're not just playing against teams from Germany. You might be playing against teams from France, Italy, Spain. You know what I mean? So now the stage has gotten that much bigger. Was there any difference between like how you approach your game, your workouts, how you took care of your body, any of that?
The main difference was playing with better players. So my first 3 years of my career, I had the ball in my hands the whole time. Like the team was centered around me. I was able to do what I wanted when I wanted. Going to Bros Bamberg, there was a whole bunch of guys that can do that. That could score, that could pass, that could do what I do. I just had to be a piece. And that year it taught me how to be a piece of a good team,
Right.
and be like a part of a good team. I was having trouble, kind of like within the season because I wanted the ball in my hands the whole time. I wanted to be the best player, but I'm not going to say that's not what they required me to do. But I had to learn how to make my teammates better, as well as me.
Make sure you're still efficient in your role.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, and that was the biggest difference for me. On top of that, the travel was rough. I was not used to traveling, to far countries to play and then come back and you got to play again and then you're not practicing. So I'm used to getting in the gym, preparing for one game,
Right.
And being ready for that one game. But sometimes you'll have a bad game and then you got to turn right around and have another game. And I'm like, oh shit, I got to prepare. That's not my routine.
Right.
So I had to change my whole, approach. And I'm not going to say I struggled, but that was definitely like a difficult adjustment for me that year.
I mean, it's definitely a learning curve, right? Like you said, when it's different when you have essentially 5 days out of a week to practice for one game on the day, and then you have the off day and it repeats, rather than practice 2 days, fly, play a game, next day fly back, maybe an off day, and then you got one game or one practice to prepare for the next game.
Right.
It's definitely a learning curve that it kind of goes over most people's heads until they're in it.
Right.
But moving on, COVID hit during the season. You went home, but you ended up coming back, and you finished the season with Bamberg in the bubble. You guys had a bubble, correct? What was that like? First of all, what was it like? When you got the call? Because I know when I got the message, like, all right, COVID hit, send Americans back home, whatever. I was like,
get me out of here.
Yeah, I was like, but my situation was a little different. I wasn't really playing for anything in terms of like a trophy.
Right.
So it was just, we had one more regular season game left. And then I was just like, all right, I'm kind of sitting on eggshells here, ready to get back home. What was it like for you?
So Bamberg, that was like my first time like making real money, like where I was getting my real checks or whatever, per se, like good money.
Right.
So when they called and said COVID hit, obviously like the news is going crazy. My teammates are going crazy. They're demanding Americans to go home. So we're panicking like, hey, what are we doing? The organization's trying to calm us down, but like when they're trying to calm us down, it's like, nah, you're German. Like y'all calm. Like we gotta go home.
Right.
Like,
y'all families are here.
Right, exactly. So, we're panicking. We're talking to the organization. We're talking to each other. Like, hey, what is the punishment if we just go home? Like, who cares? Like, literally, the news says we need to be home right now.
Yeah.
So, after that conversation with them, like the organization kind of understood, sent us home for a little bit, and then I want to say after a month or so, they asked us to come back to play in the bubble. And this is before the NBA bubble. I think we were the first ones to even do the bubble basketball, like first ever. So they got us they were, explaining it to us that we're going to be in a hotel and we're going to be there for 4 weeks, and that's how we're going to finish the regular season and the playoffs.
Right.
So, going back to it, we're just like, why? Like,
for
what?
Yeah.
And then they're like, and I think the reason that everybody actually went is because they were like, yeah, so like if you guys stay home, we take like 30% or 70% of your money or something like that. But if you come back, we'll pay you everything. So, I'm like, hey, this is my first taste of real money. Like,
what time you need me there?
Right.
I'll be at the airport in an hour.
Right. But yeah, so we went back. I think all of the guys ended up returning. And then, we did the bubble, and it was very successful. And I think everybody kind of followed after that. The NBA definitely followed after that, and it wasn't a bad decision.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. Because if I just know me, my mindset. If you ask me after being home for me, I was home for about a month or two before I saw on Twitter that team or leagues were trying to start back up and do the bubbles and everything.
Right.
And for me, I'm like, I'm already home for 2 months, bro. You know what I'm saying? Might just have to chalk that L, and I'll see y'all. For preseason next year.
Goodbye.
Right. All right. So we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. In 2021-22, you signed with a EuroLeague team, Maccabi Tel Aviv, Israeli powerhouse. In the Winners League. What were your initial thoughts there? Because I'm sure, I know with me and Panathinaikos, when it was even rumored that I was gonna sign, my comments were filled with green clover emojis.
Right.
My DMs was filled with green clover emojis.
Yeah.
So did you experience any of that? Because I know the Maccabi fans they go hard
incredible.
too. Yeah.
Incredible. So after my Hamburg season, because that's where I played before, there was no rumor of it. There was just kind of like my agent ended up hitting me like one day, and was like, "Hey, they're interested." So when they say you're interested, they're like, "Oh, like I'm just like they're interested. They ain't talking."
That's nice. Send the papers.
Exactly. Yeah, if you ain't writing nothing down, if you're not sending nothing, if my signature not on it, I'm not taking it
What
serious.
we talking about? Right.
So I'm like, all right, cool, like whatever. So like I think 2 days later, he's like, yeah, so like one of the guys want to talk to you in the organization. So I'm like, all right. So I talked to him for a little bit, and he's like, yeah, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I mean, why wouldn't I?
Right.
This is perfect. Like this is kind of what I work towards.
Right.
But still not taking it serious, like, yeah, you're going to take somebody else.
Because there's no contract.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, we're doing all this talking, but
exactly.
What are we talking about for real?
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually had a good conversation with the guy, and, he ended up really liking me. And my agent the next day said, yeah, they sent the contract. So now my mouth is dropped, my eyes are open, I'm getting home. I'm like, Mom, EuroLeague, like, and that's kind of just, what I've been working towards. I know that's like the best, the highest competition in Europe, and it's just like, wow, like I really did it. Like from the journey from, Pro A to Pro B to D2, like all of that just kind of built into that.
Right.
It was just like, man, like it was very overwhelming at the time. Like I had a lot of emotions. But it was crazy. It was crazy.
What were your thoughts of playing with EuroLeague or playing just on that stage? Because going from Champions League to Euro League in terms of an international stage is top tier. It don't get no bigger than that.
For sure. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, I was a little nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Like, this is the top of the top guys, so like, I'm approaching it like, all right, whatever the coach says, I want to do it because I know he knows whatever these guys on the team. I'm trying to look for a wing to go under. Like, I want to learn the ropes. I want to get better. I want to, I know I'm not, a EuroLeague. I haven't established myself yet, but I want to get there to establish myself.
Right.
But that was just my whole mindset, like just going into it. Like, I'm just here to work. I'm here to, do my thing.
Yeah, for sure. Fast forward during the season, it doesn't really pan out how you see it. And I remember when we played against y'all, when I was with Panathinaikos, we played against y'all. And I remember you seeing you on the bench, and I remembered your name because I had played against Paris Lee a year or two prior, and I know you guys played in Bamberg together. So that was when I think I first remember seeing the name Cam Taylor, and I was like, kind of same thing with Jaren. I'm like, I know he can hoop because I've seen it. But I'm like, maybe it's just, some rookie EuroLeague shit that we going through. I don't know. But, I always kind of had that thought in the back of my mind. What do you think was the issue to where, you couldn't really see the floor and get the minutes that you wanted?
So first, I was just kind of questioning myself, like, you have one bad game or, you're not getting the minutes that you want. And so let me start from the beginning. So, my first 3 years, I'm playing 35 plus minutes a game. I don't come out, I don't not touch the ball.
Yeah.
I get to Bamberg, it's time for me to adjust and play with good players. I go to Hamburg, I get the ball back in my hand with good players.
Right.
So I kind of like explode with good players around me. So now I'm going to Maccabi and it's like, all right, you with the top guys. Like, all right, so I have to go back to, kind of learning to play with great guys and, learning to fit the coach system. And it kind of went back to year one where I was trying to, I would say I was just trying to fit the coach's system. Just because he was more experienced and more, established than I was. I assumed that he knew more than me. But at the end of the day, I lost, Cam Taylor. I didn't play like Cam Taylor.
Yeah.
I played like some version of nothing that Cam Taylor is.
Right.
So...
Damn, that sounds familiar as hell.
Yeah,
that sounds familiar as hell.
So after that, like, it kind of all goes downhill.
Yeah.
And like, damn near, I was happy to get out of there.
Right.
Just because I needed my mind back. Like, I needed to, release, and I needed to, find who I am again.
Absolutely.
And then that's when Strasbourg called, and I ended up following that call.
Signed to Strasbourg at the beginning of 2022 and finished the season. What was that like? Just having to make that adjustment mid-season. If you were anything like me, you were still kind of, for a little bit, I was still kind of hung up on the fact like, damn, do I now is my EuroLeague career possibly over with? How's this gonna look? How are people gonna see me? Are they gonna think I'm a EuroLeague player? Like, you have all those thoughts going through your head while trying to adjust to, a new situation, a new coach, new players, while trying to find yourself again as a player.
Right.
What was that like for you?
So like, through the interview, we just kind of talked about my journey. Like, it's not new for me.
Right.
I was in high school. I was overlooked, and then went to a D2. So I started from D2 to get to overseas. I went from Pro A to Pro B. I'm not new to that. I went from Bamberg to Hamburg, who, Bamberg was a Champions League team. Hamburg didn't play in the league.
Right.
Like, I'm not new to like having to go down to explode right back up.
Right.
So it didn't worry me that, that I had to go back down or, go to a non-EuroLeague team. The only worry was that, how long is it going to take me to get back up to there?
Right. Right.
So, when I approached the Strasbourg team, like, they accepted me right away. Like, guys were good. The guys were nice. Ike Udano, one of my guys, shout out to him. Jordan,
Mr. TikTok, Mr. Overseas TikTok,
Mr. Feets.
Right.
But him, Jordan Howard, John Robertson,
J Rob, another J Rob.
Yep. Who else was on that team? Gaylor Courier. That's my guy still to this day. Giannis Marin. But all these guys.
Y'all had some talent over there.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. And they kind of accepted me with open arms. You know, usually when you come to a new team, it's like, all right, like you got to do what we want you to do. They were like, bro, like, I don't know what you was doing over there, but it's time for you to be you again.
Right.
And it kind of like flushed all the bad out of me, and you know all the fresh and all the good, and the real Cam Taylor was coming back.
Yeah.
So you know we actually ended up doing really well. We went to the Cup Championship and lost. We actually beat Monaco on the way there.
Okay.
Shout out Will. No.
You know what? We gonna talk about that one, Will.
Right, but we went to the playoffs. We actually ended up facing Monaco in the playoffs. I got hurt the game one and wasn't able to finish. The
Will
playoffs
took you
after
out,
that.
didn't he?
Will definitely took me out. Shout out Will again. But I'm glad that I made the move to Strasbourg. They really helped me, get back to myself.
Good. And then you follow that up with signing in Girona. So for those, if for the followers and the viewers, I know it might be easy to get kind of lost in translation, but this is last year now, the 22-23 season. Signed with Basket Girona here in Spain in the ACB. Now, throughout the course of your career, have you ever heard anything about the ACB or the Spanish League in terms of being, one of the, if not the strongest domestic league in Europe? Because, for me, I always kind of heard it from like afar, but I didn't really realize what it was until I was in it, in terms of the competitiveness, game in and game out, and just the overall, I guess, talent in the league from top to bottom. Was there any of that with you? What were your kind of first impressions of hearing about playing in the ACB?
For sure. When I would say like my first years, like ACB has always been the goal. Like they say it's the hardest league to play in, it's the best league, and I kind of looked it up. Like why is it so good? Like why isn't everybody playing, or why isn't these top guys in Russia or Turkey, if this is the best league, why aren't they there? So you kind of look it up, and they're like, wow, like they only allow 2 Americans per team,
right?
Or 2 Americans per team, and I'm like, dang, so you really gotta be him or fit the system, or you really gotta be wanted to even like that's like a really closed circle to even be considered to go to ACB.
For sure.
But that's how I always looked at it. I looked at it as a long shot. Just cause 2 Americans, like you gotta be that guard or that big like on that team in the best league. And I'm just like it'll come if it comes. So yeah, like it's always been the top league for me. I always knew, what it had. It was just more of like, hey, can I get there?
Right. So you end up there, and then you walk in the locker room and you see Marc Gasol there, right? And he's kind of got that Jackie Moon hat on, right? Where he's the player and I guess the owner, right? Correct?
The president.
President, the player and the president. We have to shout out Marc because he just recently retired. Congrats, a big fella on an amazing career.
Yes, sir.
What did you learn from him as a player and a person? Because just me knowing you in this short amount of time, you're a guy that's very inquisitive. Know you're gonna ask questions. So you see someone like Marc Gasol, who's had the career he's had, not just on the court but off the court as well. That's a good source of information. Right. What did you kind of learn from him as a player and a person while y'all were together?
As a person, I learned from him that the situation we are in, or we are blessed. Literally everywhere we went, he signed autographs, and he never told anybody no. And I was asking him kind of like, don't you ever get tired of it? Like I know like everybody approaches you every single time. Like there's nowhere you can go without getting an autograph. Do you ever just like say no? And he's just kind of told me like, no, I'm in such a blessed position. Like I would never, say no to, these little kids that want to, just want to have a picture with me. He was always very, very humble off the court. On the court, you can just see like the passion and the fire for basketball just never left. Like,
Right.
this man is, end of his career, and like he's playing in practices and like diving on the floor and like, bro, you're the president of the club. What are you
Right,
doing?
right,
Like,
right. Not even that. You're Marcus All.
Right,
You
you're
know what I'm saying?
Marcus All. Like, what are you doing diving on the floor?
You don't even have to
and-
practice for
right,
real.
hustling and like banging down low. Like, what are you doing going hard? Just come in here, get some cardio, and like
Right.
be ready for the game. But no, he approached practice like it was like he was practicing for Memphis playoffs against the Spurs. Like it was like refreshing to see, because you see that he never lost love nor passion for the game. Like
Right.
you can see that he's giving everything to the game, all of his energy to the game, like even at the point of his career that he was at.
Right.
So I really like appreciated that.
Right. It was real special when, when we played there, and obviously we hadn't known each other that long yet, but just seeing the love that not just Mark, but it seemed like the whole city of Girona gave you.
Yeah.
And you gave it back to them. It's so funny how, kind of 1 year can be so pivotal, and then in the grand scheme of things, it's only 365 days, but
Right.
it seemed like that 1 year for you in Girona was crucial for you in your development as a person and a player. I mean, you got your own burger in the restaurant out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
For sure.
tell us how did that come about?
Man, so I'm there, and honestly, it was just kind of like I was just branching out a lot. I was kind of getting in touch with the fans. Like, they would hit me up on Twitter and Instagram, and I would respond back. I'm like, yeah, like, you guys want to, Cam, you want to go to a dinner one time? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm hungry. Like,
That's risky.
Yeah, exactly.
That's risky.
Exactly.
Because, you show up thinking it's
show up
dinner,
right.
and yeah, it's a whole nother
Right.
topic.
So, like, yeah, they're hitting me up. Like, I'm asking them, like, yeah, where are good places around here? This is my first time in Spain. I don't know where to go or anything.
Right.
So, they're my only, I'm asking my teammates, of course, but, like, I'm answering whoever's,
Whoever's
contacting
applying.
me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, yeah, like, and they, like, really appreciated it. And I'm like, oh, this is just me. Like, this is, I'm just Cam. Like, and I've never looked at myself as, like, a celebrity or like this top guy. It's just, because my journey, I was never a top guy. I was always an underdog my whole life. I was always trying to get there. So even when I'm there now, I'm seeing myself as like the underdog, So it's like, nah, guys, it's like, it's just me. It's just me.
Yeah.
Like, you let me get a fry.
Right.
But nah, like they showed me love. I showed them love back. It was like the first time I was like taking on Spanish. So when they seen that I was trying to learn Spanish, they embraced me
Embracing
more.
you more. Right.
They seen I was embracing the music. They seen that I was just kind of embracing them as a whole. I played with a lot of passion there, so I'm getting hyped with the fans. I'm hugging them. I'm dapping them up. Like it over time it just became a family, and like I think they felt that I appreciated them, and I felt that they appreciated me. So it just kind of like all came together as like one puzzle piece, and that's one place where, man, my heart will always be for sure.
Talk about your burger that you got there.
So El Dal got a burger in there. We used to watch, me and a couple of the sponsors used to watch the NFL games in there. And, they enjoyed that I would even come up and watch football with them and hang out with them. And I'm like, I like football too. Like, why wouldn't I come?
Right.
But, they really appreciated it because I guess, basketball players don't usually, come out of their way to like, hang out with fans or even the sponsors. But, I ended up, making friends with them. We got our own group chat, fantasy football league. Like, we do all of that type stuff. So it's like, they're like my friends now. They're like I know if I like go back home, I can text them like, what's up, bro? Like, I'm coming to your city, like, be ready to go to lunch with me real quick. So it just became a family, and that family gave me my own burger in the restaurant.
Yeah, that's dope. Nah, that's dope. That's dope. That's dope. To Sarah Octo, if y'all see this, you know what I'm saying? We can be a family as well.
Right.
I can have my little dish on the menu, but we can talk about that later. All right, so coming down the home stretch here. So current days, now you join Unicaja this current season for 23-24 season. And it was a situation where, you're joining a team that has literally signed everybody back, right? You're now the one lone new piece to a team that had some really good success last year or the previous year. What was there? Was there any concern? What was kind of going through your mind at that point?
Man, the biggest thing going through my mind was like, I'm the new guy, so like the players already have their, their main guys on the team because, coming to a new team is easy to make friends and like, everybody's new, everybody's trying to meet each other. But like coming to a team that's already there, like the guys already got a year under their belt, so it's like, how am I going to get accepted?
Right.
Not only off the court, but on the court. Like, what is my role going to be? Actually, like, I'm coming in the place of Dario, and like, I don't play like Dario, so like, how am I going to get used in this system? Like, I'm not the same character player as he is.
Right.
But yeah, it was a lot of doubt. I'm not gonna lie from the beginning. But my agent, not my agent, Wama and Ebon called me and was like, "Hey, we really, believe in you. Dario, is moved on, and like, you're our first choice, and we really want you to be a part of, what we got going on here. We have really good guys, and that's kind of what really, really sold me. He was like, the guys will, embrace you. They will, accept you as one of them. So don't be scared, to come here and, question, if you can fit here or not.
Right.
Because the guys are going to, make sure that you're good.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, like, I know I'm be around good guys, and, then I'm ready. I actually talked to like some of the, some of the hoopers that I hoop with in the summer, Hop being one of them. So he, spoke good words about you. So I'm like, yeah, he's like, KP's like a very funny guy. Like, he's very accepting. Like, you're going to really enjoy him. I'm like, all right, like, okay, cool. One of the guys, he went to George Mason. They call him Shaq. But he talked about Will. Yep. And he was like, yeah, Will's a really cool guy. Like, you're going to really enjoy him. I'm like, all right, like, who else is on this team? Like, Eric Villa, he told me about Alberto Diaz. He's like, nah, he's like super cool. You're going to enjoy him. I'm like, all right, like, all these guys are cool. Like, fine, like, let's just do it. Like, this is a team, like, that's, on the up and up. Like, I'll just figure it out. I'm used to figuring it out anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is, because, from the other side of it, when I saw that we signed you, obviously, Walmart hit me and was like, look, here's Cam's number. Make sure, you throw him in the group chat. Make sure he's comfortable, whatever. And I don't want to say concern. My thing was like, I know he's going to enjoy the guys on the team off the court, right? And I know at some point it's going to click for us on the court. My thing was just about the learning curve, because of course there's going to be a learning curve for everybody, right? It's kind of like looking back at it now, because again, this is my first time being on a team like this, where we signed literally damn near everybody back.
Right.
So I feel like it's easier to kind of form a team of a bunch of new guys, kind of like you said, because everything is new to everybody, right? Whereas nothing is quote unquote new to us except for this one person. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, there is going to be a learning curve for a lot of us. I got to know where you get the ball. You got to know how to work the pick and roll with David or Dylan. You know what I mean? Right. It's just those certain nuances. I knew there was going to be a bit of a learning curve. But I'm like, what's going to help that is the fact that everybody on the team is going to be so open and willing to accept him off the court. Right. It's just going to make everything else smoother. I remember when I was in the World Cup with Montenegro, you guys had a couple practices under your belt in preseason. And Tyson texted me like, bro, you going to love playing with Cam. And he was like, it's no shade to Dario, you know what I'm saying, the player he is, but just what Cam brings to the table is something different from Dario. And yeah, man, it's been great playing with you so far. How do you feel, you got some time here in Malaga. How do you feel the city of Malaga? How do you feel the fans? Of course, again, I don't want you to try to compare anything to, Girona, because those are two different situations, right? But so far, how do you feel the kind of culture and the vibe of Malaga?
Man, culture is definitely very basketball. Like, this is probably like, I don't want to compare, but Malaga as fans are definitely top of the list. Like, it doesn't really get better than this at many places. The arena's always packed. Everybody in the gym is like cheering with like emotion and passion. Like you just feel it upon when you enter, when you leave. Like, the fans have accepted me as well. Like, I feel very, very welcome in here.
And that was big too, right? Because I look like thinking back on it. I remember when we had Dylan's party for after when we won the Copa, and I was kind of thinking, I'm like, damn, well, I know the thought is kind of going through Cam's head. Well, like I wasn't here for that, so I don't really know how to feel,
Right.
But just kind of seeing how the fans kind of still embraced you, and well, we got to get one this year.
Right.
I felt like that was the energy of the fans in that moment for you, because like you said, just making sure that they welcome you and they embrace you. So I'm glad you're enjoying the time here, because this is only my second year here, but it feels like this could be something so much more than just these last couple years.
Right.
Do you have any individual goals for this season?
Individual.
Or any that you want to share? Because I know for me, individual goals I like to keep them close to the chest. So any goals you want to share?
No, individual goals, like I don't really have anything individual, but to make sure my plus minus is up and my PRR is up. Like I like for those two to match as a player personally. The stats is going to be the stats, but how I affect the game in the plus minus and how I affect the game as my individual PIR is how I judge my individual success. But I'm usually like I'm trying to get a chip. Like that's the main goal.
Sure,
that's the main goal.
Because everything else comes with that, right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, all right, almost done here. We'll talk a little bit about off the court. This is one of thousands of convos we have day in and day out. There's just the difference is we got a few cameras with us now. We talk just as much about basketball as things off the court. You have a bunch of different interests and hobbies. Obviously, we're both very, very interested in the real estate space. We're both taking the ACB player development course this year, along with Tyler and Dylan. Why do you think, in your opinion, why do you think it's important to do this?
Business is not really something where I'm super passionate about. I just don't want to be stagnant. Like, I don't want to, sit at home and play video games and just kind of let this time just keep passing where I'm just not learning something new. So any opportunity where I can learn, something new or something I can like apply to, my life outside of basketball, I want to take advantage of that. Because if I don't, then, I'm letting this time like kind of get away from me. And I don't want to. My worst fear is that I look back and be like, dang, like when I was at home chilling or playing a game, I could have been doing X, Y, Z. So it's much less about the business course and getting into real estate and making sure about these things, and more just making sure that I'm learning something new every single chance.
Keep challenging the brain, keeping the brain active for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. D2 to 8-year pro and counting. What would you tell younger athletes that might what would you tell a senior at a D2 school right now who might be on the fence about playing overseas or just giving it up?
Love the game. I mean, as long as your heart is in it, as long as you're in I feel like as long as your approach to the game is the right way, and I feel like the way I see it, I feel like if I win $1 billion, like right now, I'm not going to stop playing basketball.
Right.
Like maybe I won't be overseas playing basketball, but I'm not going to stop playing basketball. I'm going to be in some gym, keep playing basketball. If I'm playing literally for $100 a day, like $100 a year, like I'm gonna keep playing basketball. So just let the passion and the love drive your career. Don't let anything else like kind of influence your basketball career.
All right, last segment. We got some quick questions for you. Your favorite country you visited so far, and it doesn't have to be one that you played in.
My favorite country that I've visited so far, Man, it has to be Spain. Probably between Spain and Israel. Those are two like high quality countries in my eyes.
Bucket list destination.
Bucket list destination. I still haven't been to Amsterdam. Still haven't been to Lisbon, Portugal, and I want to go to Dubai as well.
Gotta go to Lisbon. Lisbon, right up, damn near right up the street.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to go this year for sure.
3 artists on your current playlist.
Ooh, Gunna.
Gunna. Right, I was about to say Gunna.
Right, everybody know that answer. If you know me, you know Gunna's number one. Gunna. Who else do I listen to? I guess Future. I guess Drake.
Solid 3. Best, I mean, you kind of hinted at it already, but best advice that you received living or playing overseas?
The best advice, I would probably just go the one off Mark and just say, remain humble. Know that you're blessed to be in this position every day. Like, this can be stripped from you. Like, this is not, this is not a given. So just, act like it.
And last one, paying homage to All the Smoke, a guest that I need to have on the podcast.
Ooh, a guest you need to have on a podcast. I would say I would want to hear Eric Green's story.
Eric Green, okay.
Yeah, his story is he's made the jumps through all the highest levels where he's been drafted to the NBA. He's played at the EuroLeague level, highest teams, or he's played everywhere. He's had the career where a lot of guys will want to have.
So got to send this to Eric Green. Make sure he knows.
For sure.
But that's a wrap for us. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Life Across the Waters. Thank you again to our guest Sarah Octo, or to our host to Sarah Octo, for allowing us to set up and do this. Shout out to my camera crew, Ruben Torres and the guys, And last but not least, thanks to my guest Cam Taylor, my boy. That's a wrap, man. Check us out on YouTube and everywhere else that is streaming podcasts. And hopefully we'll have some more content for you guys real soon.